What's going on, everyone? Welcome along to Arsenal Fan TV, and what can I say, we failed to beat Hull City at home and we've ended it with a 2-2 draw, which after coming from behind doesn't look like an awful result, but this really was a must-win game and we failed to do that. Arsenal were all over the place today. It wasn't just a result, it was bad, it was the performance as well. Playing Monreal at centre-back, although he didn't have a particularly poor game, it showed how inept we are, just with strength in depth. It was just how we could let someone like Marlon go. I know I'm bringing it back to summer, bringing it back to signings, but at the end of the day, that's what this all comes down to, that we didn't bring anyone in summer to replace Thomas Marlon, and he's a guy that we really could have done with today, because Monreal, with all due respect to him, I thought he did his job all right today, but the simplicity of Hull's second goal, the way it was allowed to happen, just showed the numbness of our defence, because it was poor. It was so poor from Arsenal today in that area especially. And going forward as well, still a lot of problems, showing that we missed a certain Mesut Ozil today. Lacked that killer ball at times. Santi Cazorla, if we had a decent game, I think he spreads the play really well, but he failed to deliver a crucial final ball when we needed him to do it. And it was just coming away this with a draw. It feels like a loss. It really does. We're 11 points behind Chelsea now. If the title wasn't gone already, it's October, it is really early to say that. Maybe I'm getting a bit carried away, but the title really does look a bit far-fetched now. It does look a bit beyond us, which is frustrating to say. I would have expected a lot better from Arsenal, and 2 wins in 8 games just isn't good enough. And against Hull City, this should be the start of a good run for Arsenal. It should have been a good start of a good run for Arsenal. But we failed to do that. We should have been beating Hull today. The team that we fielded was capable of beating Hull City, but we looked so all over the place. We don't have a certified starting 11 at the moment. That's due to players getting injured. We've got another injury today with Jack Wilshere going off in the second half, and it's frustrating to say the least. But let's look at some of the positives today. We did see Hector Bellerin start the game, and he was absolute class throughout the whole 90 minutes, made some excellent darting runs going forward. In that second half, he was probably the only player at times who actually looked like he wanted to get into the opposition half and actually make something happen. I thought he was brilliant today, and for a small guy, made some excellent last-ditch tackles in our own half. I was a bit disappointed to see Oxlade-Chamberlain didn't have the best of games today. I thought he was pretty poor, made some really poor balls, and this actually goes for a lot of Arsenal players. The number of times, especially when we concede, when we're not comfortable, when we're panicking slightly, the number of times we make a loose ball. We must have done it easy about 10 times, so just playing it out, which just isn't good enough. For a club like Arsenal that are renowned for their passing game, just passing it out, it just isn't good enough. Another key factor today that may have hindered our loss was the referee. If we played well enough, the referee shouldn't have even come into it. It shouldn't have been questionable. But the referee was appalling, and the time wasting by Hull, completely not on, and this should be something that's clamped down in football. I can understand why Hull are doing it. I completely understand that. I get that. What are they meant to do? They're a lesser club. They're going into this hoping for a point at least, and they're going to slow the game down at every single opportunity. But at times they do it. Michael Dawson, I don't know, I can't describe the guy. He was absolute classless today. The way he, first of all, went down, got hobbled off the pitch, and then came on about 5 seconds later, just jogging onto the pitch like, you know what, I'm fine. Michael Dawson really sums him up there, and he did the exact same thing shortly after, but he did get substituted that time. So, you know, it's a bit frustrating, really frustrating on that behalf, that we weren't able to get any momentum going. But like I said, if we'd have played to our top standards like we should have done, the referee wouldn't have come into it. But looking at the actual game as a whole, analysing it properly, we did go 1-0 up through Alexis Sanchez. Absolute piece of masterclass from him, absolutely skinning Curtis Davies, and a lovely executed finish past the keeper. Put us 1-0 up, and from that point it really did look like we could go on and win this game 2 or 3 or even 4-0, as I would have expected us to do, and we looked very comfortable on the ball at times. But then unfortunately we did concede one absolute lapse in concentration. I believe there was a foul in the build-up, but I don't want to focus on that too much, as it should have been something that we should have been able to deal with, because our defence was cut open so easily. Diame, lovely dink over the keeper to put it back to level pegs at 1-1, and it was really hard for us to get back into the game from that point. We did respond pretty well, but we capitulate. We don't capitulate in a sense against teams like this, but we do panic. We are so guilty of panicking at times, and we just look a bit lost. We look so comfortable up until we conceded, and I'm just thinking, it's, you know, come on, there's over an hour in this game. Take a bit of time and build up nicely, but we were very slow, very impatient around the box, panicking a lot. Second half started, and this is what concerns me most: the way Hull sliced through us like butter. It was like a hot knife through butter. It was so easy for them, so easy, right from the kickoff, playing the ball out to Huddleston, crossing it in, 2-0 by Hernandez. It was that simple, and that really concerns me. And it's also a bit concerned that Mertesacker was beaten so easily on the header as well. But Monreal, as a centre-back, how can you say you have ambition for the league title when you're playing Nacho Monreal as centre-back? We should have brought in another centre-half. Just anyone would have done it. I mean, even if we had someone like Johan de Juro to fill that void, it would have done something for us today. I'm lost for words. I honestly am lost for words in that sense. 2-1 down. We were really struggling to get back into the game at this point. We were looking very lapless going forward. Then Wilshere went off and we saw the introduction of players like Joel Campbell. Aaron Ramsey came back. That's another positive for us today. I thought he played alright for the half an hour or so he was on the pitch. But Joel Campbell came on. He ignited a bit of a spark. But he slows the game down at times. He does pirouette a bit and then he plays it backwards. And you know what, speaking on behalf of every Arsenal player, we slow the game down so much at times. The way we build it all up to their half just to play back into our own half, and that's something, you know, this game really reminded me of. It was that game against Swansea where we lost 2-0. The way we were so easily broken down. It's the kind of performance I would have expected from Arsenal about 2 or 3 years ago. Not now. Not when we're meant to be progressing forward. I know injury comes into it, the referee comes into it, but the performance was shambolic from Arsenal today. Thankfully, we did show a bit of character and we got a goal back through Danny Welbeck, but it's still not enough. It's great to see Danny Welbeck score as well. That's another positive. He's got, what, 5 goals in 7 games now? So if he can keep that up, then it's going to be absolutely phenomenal for his confidence. But the team has to take a look at themselves. We have to address ourselves. We have, you know, I would love to see Isaac Hayden playing that game against Sunderland if Koscielny's not back yet, because he would bring so much more to the team than Monreal does. And that's not to criticise Monreal. He shouldn't have to be in a situation where he's playing as a centre-back. I think it's a bit harsh on him as well, because if he does come at the hard stick from people such as myself, I think he's had a decent season up until this point, playing at left-back. And he got that injury, unfortunately. He lost his place to Kieran Gibbs, and now he's having to play in a position which he is very unfamiliar with, apart from a couple of pre-season friendlies. But it's a really frustrating result today. It's left us tagging behind Chelsea by quite a big gap. I think we're, what, 6th, 7th in the table. We have teams like United to play who could further the gap between us, and we've got to start a run at some point. We've got to have a good run of games. I mean, we've got Sunderland next, who've lost 8-0 today to Southampton. Southampton look absolute class this season. If we could get a win against Sunderland, a good convincing win at that, stop changing our formation, stop changing the starting 11 for every single game we go into. We need a solid starting 11, a solid formation. Stop swapping between 4-2-3-1 and 4-1-4-1, because it's just, there's no balance in the team if you keep doing that. And we've got to go on a run of games. We've got to beat Sunderland, we've got to beat Burnley, and then I think we've got teams like Swansea, and then at some point we come up against Man United, which is going to be a huge test for us. But let's focus on the games we've got in front of us. Hopefully we can turn this around, get some wins on the board and restore some confidence within the team. Anyway guys, I'm just left feeling really downhearted about today. If you have enjoyed the video, please give it a like, rating, subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV, check out my own channel AFC Game by Game, and as always, thank you for watching guys.